I could imagine. What's mentioning that, like you, Mick, and myself, we all did that. Like that was the only way to get rated, you know, back then. Like quickly was go to the railcar depot, and that was a good stint. I mean, I enjoyed that. It was fun up there for a while.
It was great fun. But I can remember we used to operate the shunt loco, Mick, as you remember, in Adelaide Yard. There were two of them there.
Yeah.
So these senior drivers who were in the railcar depot, because it was such great working, you know, you start at 5 a.m. and finish at 10:30 in the morning. I mean, there were some pretty big gigs there. but any time one of us younger guys would mention something about, let's go to the railcar depot, this would be good, they'd shut you down. They'd say, you don't want to come here, son. No, young lad, no, you don't want to come up here. This is not that good for you. Because they had it locked up. And then when more and more of us, I think Percy was the oldest of the young guys, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
To go there. But when people our age started to go there, then, you know, the tsunami of people moving to get to get on the driver's list was just overwhelming for them. And I guess they had to just live with it then.
Yeah. Because you're right. It was a really good gig. Like, you'd be out of bed. I'd ride my bicycle to work in the morning and start at 5. I'd be back home by 9 o'clock. Like 9:30 in the morning. Like it was. And then when the longest shift started coming in, it was a little bit different. Hey, Doug, just quickly, is there anything you want to jump in and ask while we're rambling on here?
Yeah, I do have some questions. Hey, Andy, how did you get to the Adelaide Railway? Just curious.
I left Melbourne, where that picture behind me, that's South Dynon. I stayed there 12 months and I wanted to, I was really passionate about the railways. I actually wanted to leave and go to Wodonga and run all the fast running trains, but I don't know what happened. I ended up going to Adelaide, which was all worked out well. And I was actually, pretty similar to you guys. Like I wanted to join, but it was someone else who sort of guided me, and it was Jeff Garvey, because we both lived in the same apartment block, and God rest his soul, he was such a cool guy. Like Jeff, such a
blast from the past.
He was a great man.
Such a great mate. He's a terrific guy, and I never did see him ever get angry at any stage. You know, I mean, he may have, but I never seen him get angry. Yeah, so we roomed not together, but in the same apartment building at Pucky's. My God, we're not even going to start with that place. That's another podcast. Pucky's.
Yeah. Hey, Nick.
Mate, I can't even start. If I start, I won't stop. Sorry, Doug. Yeah, that's how I got to Adelaide, mate.
That's cool, Andy. So, Mick, what was the training like for getting into the train industry? Training for trains?
Doug's trying to be a comedian, but I do convince him to just stay doing this because it's much safer for everyone.
So, Mick, what was training for the train industry like?
I think it was all right. It was from a theory point of view. I enjoyed it all. It sort of all made sense to me. Because we had back in those days sort of signalling and everything. It's all semaphore signals, different than your CDC these days. But like I said, you had to do so many hours on the shunt engine before you actually got out onto the main line as a fireman. I was lucky and blessed, I think, because I got put into the cannonball link with a guy by the name of Jimmy Martin, who was an old steam driver from Peterborough. And in any case, he was a great teacher, and he didn't hesitate in letting me experience driving trains sort of thing. Because that's all part of what it is. I was only telling somebody the other day here in town that doesn't matter all the theory under the sun and all the books they've got, you learn to drive by the seat of your pants. You can feel a train the way it moves just through the seat of your pants, and that's something that they don't teach you. It takes years to learn that. But yeah.
Just curious, are there certain laws for train driving that are different from all the states in Australia?
You can ask that, Paul. Yes, every state's different.
Yeah,
that's an interesting
Paul
question.
Can do that.
Yeah, go, Paul.
Back in the day when the three of us started in the railways, it was captive to each individual state. So the safe working rules were quite different. You know, since Federation, they haven't been able to get that right, 1788. But today it's quite different. And you get your train driving qualifications, which are a portable, nationally accredited qualification. So I could become a train driver today in one of the rail industries based in, let's say, Adelaide, and I could apply for a job in Brisbane with another rail organisation and show my qualifications, and they'd be accepted, notwithstanding the fact you'd have to redo some of the safe working rules and other local procedures that differ from one location to another. So it's much more portable these days. But back then, that wasn't the case. So if I wanted to transfer to South Dynon, I'd go as a brand new recruit. I might as well have just come off the street as a brand new employee. So that's how it was then. Today, it's much, much different. They're portable, nationally recognised qualifications, and you can apply for a job anywhere, really.
I think that's great, because I always wanted to. I couldn't wait, because I love the Vicky engines, because that's what I started with. I always loved them. And the minute I left, oh my God, they started bringing them over. I said, that was bad timing, Andy. Like, the yard was full of them at Mile End. But I think it's great that you can do that. Like Shane Skeen, he's a driver from up, I think he's based just in New South Wales. He's going to pop on this week. How we met Shane was my young son, Caden's got a YouTube and Instagram channel where he, post videos of trains, and every time I'm back in Australia, we both go out and film stuff. So he's got a real passion for it. And Shane just happened to see it on social media. And now it's got to the point where Shane's a really good friend of ours, with the family and myself. And what happens occasionally is Caden will be filming a train in Melbourne, Victoria, at one of the stations that's on the Wodonga-Albury line, for those who know that area. And Shane's actually texts him and says, I'm coming through tomorrow at 3. So they're filming each other. He's filming the train and Shane's filming him, and then they post it to each other on the social media. And the other funny thing is, most people know I've been acting for 30 years, probably been acting for 69, but 30 I got paid for it. And Paul goes, yep. Yeah. And he introduced me to Matt Keegan, and Matt's a locomotive driver up in New South Wales. And he said, you want to talk to Matt because he's a script writer. So Matt's been in the job a long time, but he also writes film scripts. And through him, which is really funny, I may get the opportunity to be in one of his films, because now producers have actually taken on board one of his scripts and they want to produce it over in Scotland. So it's what I love about social media is it connects you up in the most funny ways, and it's going to be great to have Matt, and Shane sends us a lot of videos, when he's out driving. So yeah, it's really cool how, I still love trains. I left, the reason I left is I really got, I don't know, I've just always been restless, but I got a bit tired of the shift work. But I still miss the railways. I don't miss what I've done, but I still do miss it. And sometimes I think, what would it have been like if I stayed there? But that's life, it moves on. Do you miss it at all, you guys, Mick and Paul, now you've left? Or because you guys were in it a lot longer than I was?
No, I don't miss it. I've never been one to have railway memorabilia much, or I have got a few things that were given to me over the years for various things, and I'm not into model trains or anything like that. It was a career that I enjoyed very much. It put a roof over my head. It educated my children. It was great. It was great. I have to put my hand on my heart and say it's been a wonderful industry. But I don't miss it anymore. Yeah.
How long were you in the job?
There was an 18-month period when I was in a different industry, but it was 52 years. 52 years.
Wow. That is, you said something the other day. I don't know if it was you, Mick, or Paul, but you walk in a Mile End and you hear of these drivers being in the job 30 or 40 years. You go, holy cow, 40 years? Man, how the heck? 52, like a new guy coming in the job, you go, Wow. Like, that's a long time in a job.
But that doesn't happen these days, Andy. Most people,
No.
I can't remember the exact statistics, but people have 8 or 9 jobs in their working life in different industries. And the only regret I would ever have is, and I say this a bit lightheartedly, is that I wished I had have moved into other. I did move in other directions in the rail industry, but if I had my opportunities again, I think I'd move out of the rail industry and perhaps back again, but have a bit more experience in other industries and other working environments. But I'm not disappointed that I spent all this time in the railways. Absolutely not. No.
And look, I'll jump on to Mick in a minute because I know he left and came back again, which I think is an amazing thing that you could never do that back in the day. You leave, you're done, and to get back in, it's like, well, okay, but you'll be starting all over again. But like you just said, Paul, I don't regret anything because what I've done since I left home at 16, I could not even imagine ever that happening to me, like all the different jobs and my son and my daughter being actors and getting us to, it wasn't me who got us to America, it was Cody. And just what I've achieved, it's like, wow. And no, I don't have a lot of money and I don't have my own house. I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy because being an actor, in other ways, because being an actor is a gypsy lifestyle and all that hoo-ha about I'm going to be rich and this, and there's only a point whatever percent that do that. The rest of us, second jobs, but you love it. If you love it, you hang in there, and I do love it. It's great. And getting to you, Mick, how long were you in the job before you left?
Yeah, I was 11 years in the railways, and then I left in 84 or something like that, I think it was. And then I was 17 years out. I had this thing about running my own business, being my own boss. So I bought a fencing business and ended up having 10 blokes working for me, which were 10 headaches. And you learn these things, though, because when you're running your own business, you think you're your own boss, but you're not really. Your customers.
I know that.
That's right.
Well, it's funny because when I left, I had a scrap metal business, and I used to come and pick up your scrap fences. We used to still see each other. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
it was a headache.
As years went by, Joe Ferrugi, remember Joe? There's my iconic name. Yeah, okay. Joe was still in the job, and he phones me up, and he turns around and he says, "Oh, Mick," he says, "Bobby Yates is looking for old drivers." And I said, "Well, I'd fit that bill," but I said, I've been out of the job for 17 years. And he said, "No," he said, "they reckon that it's easier training or retraining older drivers because we still knew the terminologies of railway procedures and things. It was easier retraining us than it was bringing some new kid off the street." So it sort of made sense. And I thought, oh, well, I said to my wife, Leslie, because she'd never experienced me being in the railways, to see whether she was interested. I said there's a lot of shift work involved. So in case I applied and I got a position. Hang on, I'll just turn this off.
Hey, they want you back in the job, mate.
Yeah.
That's the phone.
Well, I tell you what, that goes
you should
on to
accept it, man.
Yeah, that goes on to another story too. But so in any case, I went and had an interview with Barry Walding when he was with not Genesee, Wyoming. I think it was
ARG.
ARG, yeah. Thanks, Paul. And in any case, got a position there with him. And then they were looking for drivers to go to Tennant Creek because they just started building the Alice Springs to Darwin line. And I thought, I've done a lot of bush work through my fencing and that. So I put in for that job and got accepted. And so then I was up driving trains. When I got to Tennant Creek, they'd only laid about 11 kilometres of track heading towards Catherine, and they hadn't laid anything back towards Alice Springs. So I ended up, by the time I finished, we'd laid about 600 kilometres of track, and that was a really good experience because you got to see everything sort of from ground level up. And working trains about, I think they were 7,300 tonne, but they were short and heavy.
Wow.
A bit like I used to be.